Hey, what's up everybody? It is so good to see you. Welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, a very special welcome. I'm and this is where we dive into the most bizarre and fascinating corners of history. So get ready, because we're about to go on a wild ride. I've been digging through the history books and I've found some stories so strange, so unbelievable, you're going to think I made them up. But here's the crazy part, I didn't. Every single one is a 100% real documented historical event. We're talking about moments that prove reality is far stranger than fiction. We're talking about brilliant minds, powerful rulers, and everyday folks who left this world in ways that are just... wow. These aren't just accidents. They are cosmic jokes with the darkest of punchlines. The kind of stories that make you shake your head and laugh, even though you know you probably shouldn't. You just can't write this stuff. Look, we've all had moments of questionable judgment, right? I once tried to open a jar of pickles with my teeth. Didn't work out great. We do these silly things. But the people we're talking about today, they took a simple mistake or a moment of pure hubris and turned it into a final fatal act. Their stories are a masterclass in what not to do. And this isn't a new phenomenon. From the halls of ancient Greece, where a philosopher met his end in a truly theatrical fashion, to the industrial age where inventors were sometimes the first and last victims of their own creations, it seems humanity has always had a knack for finding creative ways to check out. So yeah, some of these stories will make you laugh out loud at the sheer absurdity. Others are genuinely shocking, a reminder of how fragile life can be. But I promise you this, by the end of this video, you are going to feel so much better about your own life choices. That time you replied all to the company-wide email suddenly seems pretty minor. So get comfortable, grab a snack, and buckle up, because this is You Won't Believe How These People Died. And hey, as we go through these, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment with your best "I can't believe I did that and survived" story. Did you try to jump a creek that was way wider than you thought? Let's create a hall of fame for our own near misses. Don't be shy, we're all friends here. Alright, you ready? Let's get into it. We've got a Greek playwright with a very bad case of wrong place, wrong time, an Austrian man whose own magnificent beard became his downfall, and a French inventor who took a leap of faith from the Eiffel Tower. Trust me, this is gonna be good. Alright, for our first two entries, we're hopping in the time machine and setting the dial way, way back to ancient Greece. A land of philosophers, warriors, and apparently some truly spectacular ways to check out. Our first unfortunate soul is a man named Draco. And if that name rings a bell, it's because we get the word draconian from him, which is a fancy way of saying unbelievably harsh. Draco was the first legislator of Athens, tasked with creating a written code of laws to replace the messy system of oral law and blood feuds. His solution? Make everything punishable by death. Seriously. Stealing a cabbage? Death penalty. Loitering? Death penalty. His legal code was so severe it was said to be written not in ink, but in blood. You'd think a guy like this would be universally hated, right? Well, here's where it gets weird. Despite his bloodthirsty rulebook, Draco was apparently a rock star. One day he makes an appearance at the Aeschylus Theater, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. They adored him, maybe for bringing some semblance of order, no matter how brutal. To show their appreciation, they started doing the traditional thing, showering him with gifts. But this wasn't a polite round of applause. This was a full-on fan frenzy. They started throwing their hats, their cloaks, their tunics, basically any piece of clothing they could rip off, onto the stage. It started as a trickle, then became a flood, a literal fabric avalanche that completely buried Draco right there in the orchestra pit. By the time they dug him out from under the mountain of adoration, he had suffocated. He was literally smothered by the love of his admirers. A man who sentenced countless people to death was killed by an excess of affection, death by applause. You can't make this stuff up. Next up, we have a man who practically invented drama, the great Athenian playwright Aeschylus. He's known as the father of tragedy, writing masterpieces that are still performed today. He was also a war hero who fought at the legendary Battle of Marathon, a true titan of his time. But even titans can't escape a truly ridiculous fate. The story goes that Aeschylus received a terrifying prophecy from an oracle. He would be killed by a falling object. Now, for a normal person, this might mean don't stand under pianos being hoisted into windows. But Aeschylus took it to the extreme. Paranoid, he decided to cheat fate. He abandoned the city of Athens with its dangerous buildings and potentially lethal roof tiles. He moved outdoors, choosing to spend his days in wide-open fields where nothing could possibly fall on him. No buildings, no trees, not even a stray shelf, just the big, blue, empty sky and his very, very shiny bald head. Meanwhile, soaring high above, a lammergeier or bearded vulture was having a problem. These birds are famous for their unique dining habits. They pick up tortoises, fly high into the air, and drop them onto rocks to crack their shells open for a tasty meal. This particular bird had its lunch clutched in its talons and was scanning the ground for the perfect rock. And from a few hundred feet up, what does a sun-drenched, perfectly round, bald head look like? You got it, the perfect tortoise-cracking rock. The eagle lined up its shot, released its payload, and bam, direct hit. The father of tragedy was killed instantly by a tortoise, dropped by an eagle that mistook his head for a dinner plate. He tried so hard to avoid the prophecy of a falling object that he made himself the most obvious target imaginable. You simply can't outsmart fate, especially when fate has a bird of prey, a reptile, and a wicked sense of irony on its side. 16th century Austria. Meet Hans Steininger, the mayor with a 4.5-foot beard. He kept it rolled in a leather pouch. Otherwise doors, soup, total nightmare. In a 1567 fire he rushed to help, forgot the pouch, tripped over his own beard, fell downstairs and broke his neck, killed by the thing that made him famous. Grooming really can be life and death. Now to 1871, Ohio. Lawyer and ex-congressman Clement Vallandigham, a flair for drama courtroom star. Defending a murder suspect, he argued the victim shot himself while drawing his pistol from a pocket. Rehearsing with 2 evidence pistols, he thought he grabbed the unloaded one. He didn't. He fired into his abdomen, dying the next day, having perfectly fatally demonstrated his own theory. The jury acquitted his client. Clement Vallandigham won his last case from beyond the grave. Paris, 1912. Tailor-inventor Franz Reichelt dreamed of a wearable parachute for pilots. His heavy, bulky suit wasn't aerodynamic. Dummy drops were not promising. Still, he climbed the Eiffel Tower, stood on the ledge and jumped, wearing it himself. It billowed, collapsed, and he fell like a stone, killed instantly, on camera, a brutal lesson in prototyping. Croydon, 1974. Health advocate Basil was obsessed with carrot juice, about a gallon a day. His skin turned yellow-orange. He megadosed vitamin A, hypervitaminosis A is toxic, and his liver failed. After a 10-day binge, he died of liver failure. Yes, too much of a good thing. Maybe stick to 16 ounces. Your liver will thank you. Toronto, 1993. Corporate lawyer Garry worked on the 24th floor and loved showing off the window strength. His party trick? Full body charge, bounce off the glass. He'd done it many times. But on a second hit, the glass didn't shatter, the frame failed, the whole pane popped out and he went with it, 24 stories. Proved the glass was strong, the frame wasn't. Back to the 9th century, Sigurd the Mighty, 1st Earl of Orkney, a fierce Viking warlord. He cheated in a battle against Mael the Buck-Toothed, 80 men versus 40, and won. He tied the defeated chieftain's head to his saddle. A buck-tooth nicked his leg. The wound got infected, no antibiotics then. Days later, Sigurd died, killed by the tooth of an enemy already dead. At number 2, the astronomer Tycho Brahe, a 16th century genius and true eccentric. He lost part of his nose in a duel over a math equation wearing a brass and silver replacement. He also had a pet moose that once got drunk at a party and fatally fell down some stairs. In 1601, Brahe was at a lavish banquet in Prague. Courtly etiquette was brutally strict. Leaving the table before the host was a grave insult. And Tycho, having drunk copiously, refused to excuse himself. He sat for hours, a prisoner of politeness, in increasing agony. When he finally got home, the damage was done. He was unable to urinate. His bladder had been stretched to its limit, leading to a raging infection and uremia. He lay in a feverish delirium for 11 days. For centuries, people suspected poisoning, but modern science confirms this fatal breach of bladder etiquette. His reported last words, "Let me not seem to have lived in vain." A poignant plea from a brilliant mind undone by a painful mistake. And at number 1, a case of irony so sharp it could cut you. Jimi Heselden, a former coal miner, became a multi-millionaire philanthropist by inventing a blast wall that saved countless lives. In late 2009, he bought Segway Inc. Just 10 months later, he was riding a rugged, off-road Segway on his country estate. He met a dog walker on a path overlooking a river. As a courtesy, he started to reverse the Segway to make way. It's believed he lost control or the ground gave way. He and the Segway tumbled backward over an 80-foot cliff. The owner of the self-balancing marvel died in a Segway accident. A tragic, unbelievable final chapter. From applause to tortoises, inventions to irony, what a list. History is stranger than fiction, reminding us that life is fragile and death can arrive in the most unexpected ways. Makes me feel better about super gluing my hand to my desk. Could have been worse. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell. Share your favorite bizarre historical facts below. More strange history is coming. Stay safe and see you next time.